Hi, I'm Jason Stahl, editor of BodyShop Business. What is a rock star? We think it's Michael Bradshaw who, at the tender age of 34, has already established himself as a powerful advocate for proper and safe vehicle repairs and fair compensation for collision repairs. That's why Babcox Media named Michael one of its inaugural Vehicle Care RockStars. From a young age, Michael watched his father work his fingers to the bone at his body shop and oftentimes get taken advantage of by insurance companies. That's why when Michael started working in the industry, he was determined to do things his way and not accept no for an answer when a specific vehicle repair was called for by the original equipment manufacturer or requesting payment for a required procedure. He educated himself on the laws that govern auto insurers in his state, North Carolina, arming himself with knowledge that would help him tip the scales back in his favor when faced with a business dispute. Thanks to his parents' hard work and Michael's resilience in the face of standing up to the insurance giants, K&M Collision is now one of the most respected collision repair facilities in the country, with over 20 OEM certifications and firmly committed to repairing vehicles the right way. After this break, we will dig into what has made this high school dropout a success, his advocacy for quality repairs and fair compensation, his thoughts on ADAS and emerging technology, and his killer vinyl collection on this episode of Backstage Pass. In true rockstar fashion, we picked up Michael in a chauffeured limousine from Cleveland Hopkins Airport for a day and a half of talking with us about business, family, personal interests, and what makes him tick. On the ride to our first destination, we discussed how Michael got into the collision repair industry, watching his father work tirelessly fixing cars in his grandparents' garage and thinking he knew how the auto body industry worked, but experiencing a rude awakening when he found out how things actually were. So Michael, I know that your collision business is family-based. Your father and your mother started it in the backyard of your house, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but talk to me about the importance of family and the family roots you have in this collision shop.
Yeah, so my dad, he started the company in 1991 with the help of my mother. He actually started repairing vehicles in his parents' garage. So it's pretty cool because we've still got some photos from that. But Dad was just a hard worker and he enjoyed, working on cars. And so from, my experience growing up, a lot of my time was spent at the body shop because that's just, Dad was there so much. And I got to learn and kind of see how certain things worked. And I thought I had an understanding, as I got older, I became an early teenager, but I really didn't fully comprehend the way the industry worked and kind of the different viewpoints, if you will, or how there are really two different parties that are at opposition with one another. I never really appreciated or understood that until I went to work there. And really got involved in the front office. So that was probably about 2006 when I started to get involved in understanding the estimating and kind of how some of the negotiation and things like that would go with insurance carriers. And at that point, there was probably 3 or 4 of us all together. We were working in about a 4,000 square foot shop. So that was 06. Started really reading and taking in everything that I could take in. And one of the things that Dad told me, well, there are two that are pretty interesting, but one of the things he told me early on was to learn the P pages, the estimating guides. And I kind of took that to heart and learned everything I could from that respect. And we just kind of continued to build upon that. It's been neat because I just so much appreciate that for the biggest part of my life, I've got to see my mom and dad every day. And I know that there's many people where their parents are, living across the country or things like that. So it's definitely been rewarding that we've developed a really close relationship. And I think we've done a really good job of being able to separate the work from the family aspect. We can kind of go at each other over some business related things and still get along and have a good time and enjoy each other's company. And from there, as I was there and as the business continued to grow, my brothers, they became older and they became of working age, and so they started working in the business. And so now I've got three brothers. Kyle, who is our front office manager, and I've got two younger brothers closest to Kyle that are both great technicians. And so it's really cool to see them mature and grow and learn the business and kind of see what their takeaways are from certain things. I think it's always interesting how me or Kyle can look at the same thing but have different perspectives on it.
Yeah.
And I think, I kind of run back into the shop. Kyle kind of runs more like front office HR related stuff, and we just complement each other really well. At the end of the day, my dad was really hard on me, and I wouldn't be where I was if he wasn't. And so that's kind of the really unique part about our business. Not only my development from childhood onward, but also in the business, my dad's always been the one to really, he established work ethic, right? He taught me the value of hard work. He, is very much the type of person, if you want something done right, do it yourself. He values hard work, and he's really instilled that value in me, whereas Dad's a realist. Mom's much more someone that will support your dreams. She's always made me or my brothers believe we could do anything that we wanted to. We could accomplish, whatever we set our minds to. And so I think having both my mom and my dad kind of balance each other out, not only as a child growing up, but also in the business, it's helped to really kind of forge that path and believe that it's going to work, but also know that it's not going to work without the effort and a lot of hard work and a lot of energy, and just appreciating that that's part of the process.
Our next stop was Progressive Insurance, one of the top 5 auto insurers in the country, headquartered in Mayfield Heights, Ohio. A company symbolic of Michael's quest to level the playing field between two parties, collision repairers and insurers, who often butt heads due to seemingly polar opposite interests. Michael talked about a passion he has developed for the law, which requires a deep dive into insurance regulations in his state, a step beyond the 9-to-5 that most repairers don't have the time or interest to take. Michael, one of the reasons you've been named one of the first Vehicle Care RockStars by Babcox Media is your standing up for what's right in the collision industry, doing a quality repair and getting properly compensated for it. Talk to me a little bit about the stance you've taken in the industry to stand up for what's right and get paid properly.
Yeah, really when it comes to repairing a vehicle, there's only one correct way to do it. And I think largely in our industry, there's a third party that many times will dictate, to a collision repair facility the way a repair is performed that is not proper. And what we really decided early on in my journey, in the collision industry, is that we just weren't going to accept anything less than what the correct way was, which is ultimately what the manufacturer says when it comes to repairing the vehicle. So, one of the things that we've done is just spend a great deal of time, educating ourselves and also our customers on why the repairs are necessary and why the third-party payer ultimately owes to reimburse for those repairs.
And one of the things we talk about in Body Shop Business Magazine on a monthly basis is the importance of collision repairers educating themselves on their insurance laws and regulations in each state, because it's different in each state. And you've done a masterful job of that in North Carolina. And I know that's one of the things that you want to impress upon the industry and lead by example, is knowing insurance laws and regulations in and out, and how important that is to level the playing field, so to speak, when you're conducting collision repair business.
Yeah, I think far too many owners or employees within the collision repair industry, they want to go to work and want to work from 8 to 5 and go home and not learn, not grow outside of that. And so one of the things that we've done is continue to grow. We've been doing this. I've personally been doing it for 16 years now, and I'm still growing. I'm still traveling, attending seminars, listening to educational presenters talk about, policy language or appraisal clause guidance and things like that. And so I think from my perspective, the more educated you are when it comes to those things, the greater chance of success you're going to have in today's industry.
Next, I just had to take Michael for a spin in my new computer on wheels, a 2023 Honda Civic Sport, a recent purchase that catapulted me into the world of advanced driver assistance systems. I just had to find out from Michael how his shop is handling the scanning and calibration of these systems when a vehicle comes in for repair, a process that shops of the past who heated and straightened metal might have once thought would be science fiction, but now is reality. Also, Michael, you have the pleasure of riding in my new 2023 Honda Civic, and I say pleasure because if we were riding in my 2009 Honda Civic with 213,000 miles, we'd be all over the road, and you'd feel like you were in the rodeo pretty much. So
not as nice of an experience. Huh?
No. So I went from basically no technology to Honda Sense technology, which is a whole suite of advanced driver assistance systems,
right,
collision mitigation, all that kind of stuff, adaptive cruise control.
Yeah, like a lane keep assist, probably.
Lane keep assist.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I don't have blind spot monitoring. It was in a higher trim level, but that's okay. But so I kind of wanted to ask you, with these new cars rolling off assembly lines today are computers on wheels, basically.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you how your shop has prepared to repair these vehicles. So not only fixing dents and painting, but now recalibrating these cameras and doing a pre-scan and a post-scan, and basically not just putting together a repair blueprint anymore, but also an electronics blueprint. How is your shop doing that?
So we've kind of approached it several different ways. I think first and foremost, the training for your staff, your technicians, your estimators, myself personally, really get your arms wrapped around what ADAS is and how those systems are affected after collisions and what the recalibrations look like from manufacturer to manufacturer. And then equipment is another really crucial aspect. So taking the training, learning about the process and the equipment that are going to be utilized, and then creating an environment where your shop has the space and the equipment necessary to do those calibrations. So we've kind of taken the approach, we've used remote diagnostic providers. There are a couple prominent ones in the industry at this point. And we've also, purchased scan tools and software for some of the manufacturers that we're certified for, where we're seeing those vehicles on a really consistent basis, and they make up a big part of our work mix. And so I would say at this point we're probably doing about 90% or greater of the calibrations and scans in-house. And we're actually in the process, kind of just have started planning. We're going to build an additional facility just to dedicate to, calibrations and alignments and things like that. So I think our business model, it has been one where we look for opportunities to do as much within our facility as we can. We really want to own that vehicle from start to finish, and not be reliant on outside parties and outside vendors and things like that if it's something within our control.
Next up was an old school record store, given Michael's love of music and hobby of collecting vinyl. We asked Michael some rapid fire questions as he stalked the aisles for a vintage gem that he longed to add to his collection, trying to learn about the dad, husband, and fun-loving person he is outside of the body shop. So Michael, I was really surprised that when you told me you were really into vinyl records. How did you get into it?
Yeah, so I'd always wanted a record player or turntable, and my wife actually surprised me with one for Christmas one year, and she bought me a couple of records, but what she didn't realize is, the turntables, you've got to hook up to external speakers. So we bought some speakers and got all that worked out, and I realized pretty quickly that it wasn't the best of turntables. So I upgraded it within a couple weeks, and I don't think she was too happy about that, but she certainly understood. So
is her knowledge growing about that stuff? Because
she could definitely hear the difference when we played it on the old one versus the new one. And so now it's become a cool. Become a thing where she'll buy me vinyl for different occasions and stuff, and so it's always neat because sometimes it's old stuff, and then sometimes it's maybe an album that just came out, and we'll buy it on vinyl and enjoy it. So
if you ran across an album in here that will blow you away, what would it be like?
Blow me away. Okay,
found it and you go, oh my God, I've been looking for this, or I love this band.
The Mr. Misunderstood album by Eric Church, for whatever reason, they did like one run of that, and they may have done a second, and that's it. And you can't, they're not out there. And if they are, they're like $300 or $400 for one album. So
$300 or $400.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that would be a really neat one to have, because I've basically got most everything else of his on vinyl, and that's the one I don't have. So I'm just waiting for him to do another pressing of it, and hopefully we can get it on that deal.
Michael, is there a particular band or style of music that you identify with as far as also how you run your business?
It would probably, hard to pick just one, but I just think people that tell it like it is, right? Like I appreciate, bands that aren't afraid to speak about things or write about things that may be controversial, but it's something that they're convicted in or believe in. And, just kind of no nonsense type approach, things like that.
Back at our studio, Michael and I sat down for an intimate one-on-one discussing his passion for the collision repair business, where he gets his inspiration to work hard and forge ahead in the face of challenges and resistance, his desire to share his knowledge and uplift other shops, and the personal stamp he has placed on the shop that his parents started and his three brothers work at now.
I don't necessarily know that there's anything, inherently special about me. I think I've just, I've worked really hard. I've been lucky to catch some breaks within our business that have allowed us to be successful. But at the end of the day, I just had a plan, and I kind of really believed that I wanted to do things my way. There are far too many people, I feel like, in our industry and in the world in general, that are scared to follow their own ideas and look to others to seek approval or guidance. And it's very easy to get distracted. And, you know, when it all comes down to it, if it works or if it doesn't, you know, I wanted it to be based on what I believed in. And so just having that mentality that I was going to do it my way, and really understanding that it was going to take a lot of work and a lot of hard work, and not being scared of that, and having the right support around me. You know, I've got a great family. My wife's been very supportive. My mother and father have always been super supportive. I've got brothers, I've got staff, I've got mentors and colleagues within the industry. So it's a lot of things that, you know, I feel like have just happened, that some of which has been out of my control, and I've just been really blessed to be fortunate to have had those things happen. I've always wanted to live up to the example and the standard that my dad set. And so, you know, being young and watching him work countless hours and sacrificing his body and doing what he needed to do to provide his family, to provide for his family, I think has just been it's been a shining example to me, and something that I've really strived to try to work as hard as I could work. And I think that, you know, people don't sometimes appreciate how much work goes into having a successful business in the collision repair industry. And it's not, there are no shortcuts, there are no easy buttons. It's really about, you know, a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears. As I've grown and progressed in the company, I think at this point, you know, everybody understands that I set the tone, and I am the leader. And I think it took me a while to really grow into that role. And I think the biggest thing that I had to learn through my maturation process was just how important it is that the people that work for you know that you care about them, and that your interactions and dealings with them are in a manner that express the way you feel and care about them. And so, you know, we've been so lucky to have the people in our company that we have, and, you know, we want those people to feel appreciated. And so I think just treating people with respect and kindness, and wanting them to succeed, and giving them the tools and opportunities that they need to succeed, have really kind of been almost like the second part of the journey for me, and something that I feel like I've really grown into in the last 4 or 5 years, that maybe I didn't necessarily understand fully, you know, as a young 20-year-old.
Vehicle Care RockStars is powered by Babcox Media in partnership with Apex.